The counterpart of this change is one in the conception of thought and its relation to knowing. It was earlier assumed that higher knowledge must be supplied by pure thought. Pure because apart from experience, since the latter involves the senses. Now it's taken for granted that thought, while indispensable to knowledge of natural existence, can never in itself provide that knowledge. Observation is indispensable both to provide authentic materials to work upon and to test and verify the conclusions reached by theoretical considerations. A specific kind of experience is indispensable to science instead of all experience, setting a limit to the possibility of true science. There is an objective counterpart of this shift. In the older theory, sense and experience were barriers to true science because they are implicated in natural change. Their appropriate and inevitable subject matter was variable and changing things. Knowledge in its full and valid sense is possible only of the immutable, the fixed. That alone answers the quest for certainty. With regard to changing things, only surmise and opinion are possible, just as practically those are the source of peril. To a scientific man, in terms of what he does in inquiry, the notion of a natural science which had turned its back upon the changes of things, upon events, is simply incomprehensible. What he's interested in knowing and understanding are precisely the changes that go on. They set his problems, and problems are solved when the changes are interconnected with one another. Constants and relative invariants figure, but they're relatives, they're relations between changes, not the constituents of a higher realm of being. With this modification with respect to the object comes one in the structure and content of, quote, experience, unquote. Instead of there being a fixed difference between it and something higher, rational thought, there is a difference between two kinds of experience, one which is occupied with uncontrolled change and one concerned with directed and regulated change. And this difference, while fundamentally important, does not mark a fixed division. Changes of the first type are something to be brought under control by means of action directed by understanding of relationships. In the old scheme, knowledge as science signified precisely and exclusively turning away from change to the changeless. In the new experimental science, knowledge is obtained in exactly the opposite way, namely through deliberate institution of a definite and specified course of change. The method of physical inquiry is to introduce some change in order to see what other changes ensue. The correlation between these changes, when measured by a series of operations, constitutes the definite and desired object of knowledge.